Okay. Welcome back to Nick Lenz's Comic Corner Classics. That's known classic. This is episode number 1576 and Doubleshot number 1470. Now, the first thing to discuss with this review is basically this comic corner is issues of Wolverine issues 305 to 317. Why am I covering these 17 issues, even though they're pretty much collected in 3 trades? Because I feel like it. Even though that probably take a while before I get the second trade in. There are 2 trades. The thing is, buying the trades to collect these issues is these things are probably going to be expensive. And I don't have time to basically track down the trades and wait God knows how long. Let's see. Let me take a look and see about this. Let's see. Now, the first one is basically a story arc. Okay, it's pretty decent, but it probably would take a while to get here. Just get these issues done a little bit because I'm getting in the 2 trades to collect Volume 5, so why not cap off, try to get this stuff out of the way first, and then just worry about that stuff, and then once I get that done, everything from the previous decade for Wolverine will be pretty much done, and everything, and I'll have to worry about the other decades. Okay, first we're starting with Wolverine issues 305 to 308. This is a 4-parter. Yes, the first of 3 4-parters in these 13 issues. I should point out, though, 309 is the sole standalone issue in this batch, in these issues here. This storyline is called Rot. It does kind of follow what happens in the pages of Wolverine and the X-Men. Mostly, it's okay, let's have Wolverine do another story arc where he abruptly takes a walkabout. And of course, he's investigating these weird brain creatures, which apparently these creatures are created by this guy known as Dr. Rot. Dr. Rot first appeared in the pages of Wolverine Weapon X. I have not reviewed that series yet, but I'll probably review that series in the near future. Dr. Rot is simply one of these, the best way to describe this guy, he's sort of like Marvel's ripoff of Professor Pig, where he likes killing people, and there's no mention if he actually is like a crime boss or whatever, like the way he was with Professor Pig. He's just basically a mad scientist. And now, this is during the period of time when he's basically still part of the Jean Grey School of Higher Learning. If you want a placement for this particular one, I mean, in the case of the opening few issues, you could say you can fill a gap between a couple story arcs. You could say between issues 4 and 5. This one you can probably say is between issues 5, probably 8 and 9. I think it is. Yes. So, they're also investigated by this FBI agent who was investigating them. And also, this is a return of Melinda Gardner. Now, you're probably thinking, who is Melinda Gardner, you might ask? Well, she at the time was Wolverine's girlfriend, who actually first showed up in Weapon X. Yep. That was her first appearance. Yep. She first popped up there. And she appears in these issues, plus the final arc of the series. I mean, from what I can tell, they had a great relationship. Yeah. I mean, she appeared sporadically in Weapon X. She appeared in Dark Wolverine. She appeared in, pretty much almost the entirety of Wolverine Volume 4. And she appears in these issues. But as soon as this, I will get to basically what she's up to afterwards, because it's kind of perplexing. Then Wolverine goes to Dr. Rot, where his base is. And he's confronted by 3 weird guys, three people, one person who refers to their boyfriend as a cousin, which I don't know if it's a play on Southern stereotypes where cousins sleep with each other. I don't know. The book is written by Colin Bunn. Yes, with artwork by Paul Paliter. Though I should point out, though, this recap is not from the previous story arc. Oh no. This picture is from Wolverine Volume 4, number 11. Like, that's the weird thing about these issues. The pictures they choose for the recap. Like, yeah. They... Like, is there a mention here of him going to Japan? No. There's no mention of it at all. It's like Colin Bunn did Bob mentioned the recap. And here's a sample of Paul Paletier's artwork. Yep. And Wolverine's having some issues per se, and then when he goes to take care of like Dr. Rott's creations, which by a lot of the cover is simply Wolverine coming out of brains, because that's the thing about this storyline. Brains, brains, brains. And then pretty much at the end of the storyline, at one point he thinks he's briefly captured by Dr. Rott and brainwashed by him. Then he thinks he's free from him, and he makes out with his girlfriend Melinda, and it turns out he's not kissing her. Oh no, by the way, one of 2 times in these issues where he's kissing a woman. The other time it actually happens the very next story. Like, oh, don't worry, we'll be discussing. That's a really good story, that one is. And it turns out it was actually the woman he met when he first got there. And then when he's freed, apparently he lost some of his memories. Also, he kills Dr. Rott here. He thinks kills Dr. Rott. Then he just comes back through disgusting means. And then he's like, okay, time to look up Weapon X. And that's the last you see of Dr. Rott. No, seriously. Like, Dr. Rott himself is never seen again after this. Actually, he does pop up after this. Like, he doesn't count the Wolverine again. Oh no, he does never count the Wolverine ever again. He appeared twice after these issues wrapped up. Yeah, after the story wrapped up, he appeared twice. First, for an issue of Deadpool and the Mercs for Money. I guess Colin Bunn thought, like, okay, I wrote this character before, bring the character back. Which they brought back the character Bailey Ann, who actually made her first appearance in this story arc, and then she came back for issue 3, and then she was never seen again. Oh no, she wasn't. And of course, here's the thing. Deadpool and the Mercs Money issue 1 came out in 2016. This issue, 308, came out in 2012. So he returned 4 years later for a sole appearance. And then he made one more appearance after that. An issue of Spider-Woman. Excuse me. And that's all you get from the guy. Yeah, just 2 appearances. He also had this Nurse Fester, who looked like a burn victim, but looked like a very lovely woman, who also first appeared in the pages of Wolverine Weapon X, and she completely disappeared after this. Yeah, she disappeared. She was never seen again after this. Oh no. Like, she of course was never seen again after this. So, yeah, you can kind of say that Colin Bunn wrote this character off. I brought back Belly Ann, but not her. Nope. Now, for the story arc itself, it's an okay story. It's a very interesting story arc, per se. It does set up the final story arc, but it does not set up the very next one. Oh, no, it doesn't. Don't know why, it just doesn't. The one thing I gotta give points off it for of how absolutely gross this storyline is. Yeah. And then we have, in the very next issue, the debut of this woman named Eva. And this is her sole appearance to date. This was 9 years ago. This is not done by Colin Bunn. Oh no. He actually is absent up until the final 4 issues of this run. This is done by Ivan Brandon. But this cover art here Yeah, it's the same cover artist who did Thor God of Thunder. And that's her on the cover. And this book is her sole appearance. Wolverine meets her, sleeps with her, learns her backstory. Apparently she was a mutant, depowered, and not much else to say about that. Because it's just a standalone issue. It's weird though. Interesting character. It seems like Wolverine had a thing for her, but she disappeared. It almost seemed like it also looked like her back was coming apart. Like she had like cracks in it though. That was kind of weird. Sorry about that. Okay. Next up is a really good story arc. This is issues 310 to 313. And does Coleman come back for this? No. This is written by Jeff Loeb. And you're probably thinking back like, Jeff Loeb writing some issues of Wolverine. This seems completely random. Oh, by the way, the recap picture I almost forgot to mention. Not the correct recap picture. Oh no, because they have Alexa appear in these issues, and they use an issue. Now, by the way, I'm not really sure of why Marvel did this for. If I can do this properly here. Okay. Yes. Look at this cup. Look. Oh, come on. Stop it. Okay, there we go. Look at this image. Yeah, just an advertisement. Does the image look very familiar to you? Yes, that is from Neurosha. Something that has nothing to do with this. That was from 2 years prior. I'm like, what the heck, Marvel? Now, Sabretooth Reborn is, well, it's a follow-up to 2 story arcs. It's a follow-up to Wolverine Evolution. This storyline is technically the sequel to it. And it's also a follow-up to Wolverine Reckoning, which is the crossover between Wolverine Origins and Dark Wolverine, where this storyline is the return of the character Romulus. And also in this story arc, we get the debut of a new character who never appears again after this story arc. I will get to her. But it does have big retcon. Yes, Jeff Loeb decided to retcon something that was done by Daniel Way. Yes, what did he retcon? In that very story arc, Evolution, which I will discuss in the future when I get hands on the Wolverine by Daniel Way complete collection. Wolverine kills Sabretooth with the Massimosa blade by chopping off his head and then burying him. They actually dig up his body here. And it turns out, get this, the Sabretooth who died in those issues was not the actual Sabretooth. Nope, it was, say it with me, a clone. Yes, Marvel's usual standard thing of basically retconning and bringing back a character. Like, oh yeah, revealing that the previous character died was a clone. The other thing was a Skrull. I'm like, wow. I mean, does that sound like typical Marvel? Like, oh, let's bring back a character. Despite the fact everybody clearly saw a dead body. Yeah, let's just retcon it with, oh, that was a clone, or that was a Skrull. Yes, that was basically a standard. Yeah, that was the thing in this era I could not stand at all. Yes. Now, yes, I do enjoy the era, the first decade I was reading comics, 2004 to 2012. But this is one thing I could not frickin' stand. Yes, retconning an excellent story, just to bring back a character you probably like, oh, we're going to bring back Sabretooth. I killed him off. Screw you. This is probably Jeff Loeb. I'm not sure why Jeff Loeb did this for. Yeah, let's bring it back. But wait, did he get beheaded last time? Yeah, let's just retcon he's a freaking clone. Yes, a clone. Also, in this story arc now, at the end of Reckoning, Romulus was thrown to Dark Dimension. Basically, dimension that basically houses Cloak's powers. And then Wolverine randomly finds him, like, chained up on top of the Empire State Building of all things. Where he's like, I had to release him. He's like, you released Romulus? How stupid are you? And the reason is, apparently Romulus got his hands on Dagger. Yes. So, By the way, this artwork is done by Simone Banshee, which I love this artist. This artwork is really freaking good. But yeah, of all places, the Empire State Building is not a place I would put Cloak. Yep. Yeah, and this is like not long afterwards, like, oh, let's dig up Sabretooth's grave. Excuse me. So he goes to visit a cabin. Now, what cabin was this? This was a cabin associated with Wolverine. This cabin is where Sabretooth killed one of Wolverine's girlfriends on his birthday. Yes. Seriously, this is part of Wolverine's backstory. Who is this person? Silver Fox. Yes. Silver Fox. One of the many girlfriends of Wolverine. Yep. Yeah, and I'm not going to show the scene here of basically the dead corpse of the late Silver Fox. Who, like, you look at pictures of her, she was a beautiful woman. And I got handed to, like, Wolverine for basically, like, he always gets the beautiful ones. Like, wow, this guy is, like, purely lucky. Yeah, lucky guy. So, at this cabin, this is where Romulus has got Dagger by the throat and ends up fighting him for a while. And then, well, Cloak gets Dagger. Wolverine just beats the crap out of Romulus. And it seems like Romulus has got the upper hand. And then he gets stabbed from behind by a beautiful woman. And he's like, that will keep him down for long. He's like, who? You're going to pass out. Okay, you'll do. You have to do that. Before you go, there's something I've wanted to do for a long time. And what does this beautiful woman do? Kiss Wolverine! Yep, kiss Wolverine. Yeah, she's waited a long time for this. Now, who is this beautiful woman? Remus! Yes, this is Remus. So, then Wolverine goes to a lab, discovers the whole thing of clones, and discovering that Sabretooth was in fact alive and well. Yes. And she points to as in Romulus and Remus, the sons of Mars. Well, yes. And she basically has tasked Wolverine, kill her brother. And he's like, lady, I've had issues with your family for decades. Why would I want to listen to you? And here's the thing. Now, Romulus apparently has it's revealed of the course, so she's been alive for centuries. So basically, like, damn, Wolverine, you basically got a beautiful woman who is twice your age. Because that's the weird thing about Wolverine. He always basically gets ended up with women who are basically, like, much younger than he is. Because he's rumored to be over 100 years old. And Romulus and Remus apparently been around for centuries. So, are you saying that Remus is over 3,000 to 5,000 years old? Like, wow, she looks great for her age. And here's the thing. Like, if she's around that long, she's one of 3 immortals around for that long. She along with her brother and Selene. As in Selene from the Hellfire Club. Yep. So, yes, and the recurring joke is, what is up with Wolverine falling for redheads? Well, that's due to Rose. That's mainly the reason for it. Yep. So he fights Sabretooth, and of course he finds out that Sabretooth fought was back a clone. And he takes the helicopter out of there, which then he's rescued by Remus. Which, yes, this is when he pretty much explains it. It's like, oh, kiss him again. And then she tries to explain it. It's like, my name is Remus, as in Romulus, and I need a favor. Come on, why don't you kill my twin brother? He's like, what? Yes. So, she ends up fighting him in the very next issue. Well, actually, he basically starts fighting him because he can't stand Remus. So, why not basically pick a fight with his beautiful sister? So, after basically explaining her backstory, They agree to work together with the beautiful dagger. And of course, they confront Sabretooth. Wolverine gets to a fight with him. And then he's like, Romulus! Gets him out of a freaking tank, beats the crap out of him, slices apart his face. And, by the way, Remus is naked. Yep, he's naked. And then, like, the very next issue, they finally wrap up this whole rivalry between, like, Wolverine and Romulus. So, they fight. And he's fighting a butt-naked Romulus. And apparently, like, there were a few other people who were part of this program, along with Bayonet, Black Wolf, Savage, and Eradicator. Apparently, these were other siblings of Romulus and Remus. Yeah, this is really the finale for Sabretooth Reborn. This is Department H. Yes. This is something associated with Wolverine. It's the department works for the kidney. I think it's just if I remember correctly, Department H was the department that Alpha Flight was under jurisdiction of. Now, these were like people who disappeared just for this one issue. And these were like 4 people killed with Wolverine in the past. So, like after he kills them all, and then after he finally beats Romulus with the help of Cloak and Dagger, and Remus, Sabretooth tries to basically blow the facility up, but oh, don't worry, Sabretooth managed to survive. He gets out of there, but then he's like rescued by, well, actually basically kills Romulus, and then we see Remus and Wolverine just on an island having a good time. And what happened to Romulus? He is hauled up to the raft. And that's the last anybody saw of the guy. That was 9 years ago. Yep. So Wolverine's like, I see some mysterious redheaded woman in the past. And he's like, nah. And by the way, Sabretooth basically do his own thing. So you have Wolverine and Remus on a beach. And she's in a bikini. And then they proceed to have the issue end with them making it imply they had probably had sex multiple times on the island. I'm like, damn, Logan. You nailed a smoking hot woman like Remus. And here's the weird thing with Remus. That's the last you see of Remus too. Because Marvel did nothing with her after this. No, seriously. They did freaking nothing. Like, she appears just this one story arc. And that's it for her. And you're thinking, really? Yes, really. Yeah, she appears just for this really good story arc. And that's the last you see of her. It's the same thing for basically Romulus Remus. Never seen again after this. Nope. Yeah, they are never seen again after this. Yeah, never seen again until after, like, that's the last time we see these two characters. My guess is Marvel just probably had enough of these two, like, had enough of Romulus, like, okay, let's do this one story arc just to wrap up this story and just do something else. My guess is that they probably wrote him off, and this is my personal theory, that they probably had no plans to have this. They probably did it because this was a loose end Daniel Wade left hanging with Romulus in the Dark Dimension. They probably figured we had to get him out. We had to basically lock him up someplace and do nothing with him since then. This story came out 9 years ago. And here's the weird thing. Has Romulus or Remus popped up since the story popped up? No. They completely disappeared. Yes, they were never seen again after this. And who knows if they'll pop up again. Now moving on to the final story arc of this renumbering. which is called Covenant. Now, the last story arc, not mentioned here. The recap does not mention that. It's almost like, though, that these story arcs were released out of order. It's like Covenant was supposed to be next after Rot, but my guess is Loeb probably really wanted to do. My guess is Marvel just couldn't. I do have a theory of why this story arc was last. There was probably a few reasons why. One, I think Covenant was late with this story, so they probably figured that, okay, we need to basically have a story arc for these next two issues, like, because apparently Coleman was not ready yet for this story. Like, the story was not ready yet because it's supposed to be the very next thing. Because the way it's written, it's like this picks up right where 308 left off, and then like the air stuff basically happened. They probably had it where Sabretooth Reborn and that standalone issue with Eva, they probably throw those in just to keep the book going for a little bit, because Sabretooth Reborn probably was pre-planned for quite a while, and my guess is they probably had the rush to conclusion to get these story arcs released, probably a little out of order per se. They probably also did not want to have. I mean, the way you finished up reading Sabretooth Reborn, it seemed like that would be the end of this numbering. It will seem as though that was planned to be the end of this volume, but this story was late, so they put that out first because the Marvel probably knew people would love this story, and save this story for afterwards. Because there's no mention of Remus, because it's like we have the last issue end with him basically make out with her on the beach. Here, he's back with Matilda. Yep. And he basically reconnects with this woman named Vanessa, who's from his past. And it's like his recent memories, not his past memories. Oh no. And then we kind of go to Wolverine's past. Well, looks like he's in Makarish. Looks like some country in like Africa, whatever. Yep. He meets this beautiful woman. Like, who are you? Come rescue me? Like, not quite. Yep. And it's a weird kind of steampunkish story. And also the story, he runs into Alyssa Bloodstone. Yes, Alyssa Bloodstone. Yep. And she basically helps him for a bit until she shoots him in the face. And it's almost like we just get a brief revisiting of what happened, like, right afterwards. We see Matilda looking at a psychiatrist. She basically has always been very curious about Wolverine's history. Yeah, she's the only person who's dated Wolverine who actually has been very interested in Wolverine's history. And she basically does a little backstory here on this one woman. Mm-hmm. Oh, and by the way, when does Alyssa shoot Wolverine in the face? In the second to last issue. Yep, second to last issue. By the way, love these covers. These covers are gorgeous. Yeah, these covers are freaking gorgeous. The cover art here is done by Jared D. Fletcher. This guy should receive an award for how good this artwork is. We apparently takes this woman who he met in the past. He takes her cave, turns into stone. So yeah. Yeah. So goes this castle. Yeah. It's a pretty good set of issues. I gotta say, it's a better story arc than Rot. Yeah, this story arc is really freaking good. And with issue 317, we finally wrapped this up. Mm-hmm. Yep. Or, yeah, deals with this woman. And then we have this group appearing in the Alps. Yes, the Alps. Mm-hmm. Which is a group headed by Vanessa, with Alyssa Bloodstone there and a few other people who appear in this story arc. And who is this group, you might ask? They are the Covenant. Which, They previously appeared in the issue of Captain America and Namor, but after this story arc, they never appeared ever again. Nope, never did. Yep. But here's something interesting, though. Matilda, who actually, was basically dating Wolverine for quite a while. Yeah, like after the story wrapped up, she appeared just a few times after this. She popped up next for an issue of Thor God of Thunder. Probably because Jason Aaron created this character, so of course he would have the character appear again. And then she popped up for a few issues of Wolverine X-Men Volume 2. And, well, that was it for her. Yep. Now, I reviewed a good chunk of her history. I have not reviewed Fear Itself Wolverine, Dark Wolverine 90, or the Weapon X series. I do think she's a good character. And and what happened right after this particular story arc wrapped up? Well, the book got restarted because of Marvel Now. Of course it did. But this final story arc was really good. What rating do I give each of these story arcs? Rot, 8 out of 10. That 4-parter. 309, I give that a 9. It was actually a pretty good issue. Probably the best story arc of all these is Sabretooth Reborn. That I give a 10 out of 10 because that was a really good story. And it kind of felt as though this should have been the end of the numbering. But no, we had to continue for a few more issues because that thing I started with in Covenant. Covenant, really good story too. Also give that one a 9 out of 10. Really good. My final thoughts on this run for Wolverine. Because this was basically restarted back in 2010. And this lasted for a good couple years. And put out if you look at it, 20 plus 18. It's 38 issues in just 2 years. Because they kept doubling up these issues. It's a good set of issues. I do recommend it. Now, the Jason Aaron stuff, that's been collected not only in their regular individual trades, but also a complete collection by Jason Aaron. But what about 305 to 317? Is there a trade, aside from the individual trades, that collect these 3 story arcs? No! There isn't. There's no complete collection. I'm like, really? Yes, really. I thought this was kind of stupid. That there is no trade that basically combines these 3 trades into one. I mean, Marvel's been doing that lately for the last several years. When they've been doing that in order to basically get new printings for these things. But these trades probably came out, what was it about? Let's see. These trades came out in, let's see if I can find them here. Okay. They came out from September 2012, and the final story, which is what I discovered here, came out in April 2013. You would think Marvel would put that give new trades for these 3. Nope. Not really. I don't really know why. It's just kind of dumb. The fact that Marvel never did that. I think that this run could definitely use it. Yep. Alright, moving on. Now, I know we're going for the half hour, but I was discussing 13 issues. Now, we're discussing only 6 issues this time. Issues 17 to 22 of Earth 2 Society. This is the final fate of Earth 2. That's the name of the story arc. Now, this is also something else. I could not get my hands on the trades for these ones. For these issues. The collected issues? Yes. Now, here's the weird thing, though. DC Rebirth had just happened at the same time these issues came out. This was 5 years ago. And this story arc is simply put just a wrap-up of this series, because I think Dan Abnett felt this though. The series probably didn't need to exist anymore because of DC Rebirth. And plus, he was also writing Aquaman at this point in time. Yes, which I think was the only comic book he was writing at this point for DC. This is, of course, not Marvel. This is DC. So, he figured, though, he has Aquaman. He needs to end Earth 2 Society on a good note. So basically, the group was kind of split into like two different groups here when the white light event happened. You have one group which is basically Flash, Fury, and you think it's Lois here, Ruins, but no, Lois is fine. She's with Power Girl, and they run into Hawk Girl, and they kind of reunite with each other, and then Power Girl is attacked by the Sandman. Yeah, they thought that was kind of weird. Yeah, it's like, I think we're in danger. Danger as in a guy dressed like Wesley Dodds. The 40s version of the Sandman. Where they proceed to like drag her to her house. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. So, Fairy puts back on her headdress she took off. So... And then they see in this white void, there's a whole bunch of Sandmen dressed as the classic Sandman, Wesley Dodds Sandman, which I thought this was interesting. Yep, and they spend the next several issues fighting these people, and then the first issue ends with, oh, here's Val Zod, Superman. Oh yeah, one of the last things you see is Power Girl's rear end. Yes. Yep, gotta show off that rear end because Power Girl's hot. Yep. And then in the very next issue, they're being hunted. We show what the other group, rest of Wonders are up to, which are basically Huntress, Batman, who is Dick Grayson, and Sean. Which, later on, he does give him a codename, Boy Wonder, though at the end of these issues, he did become officially Robin. And, by the way, he refers to Helena as Aunt Helena. Which, that's interesting. She doesn't mind it at all. Now, here's the thing. John Grayson is 6. He's been genetically enhanced to be 16 by the Ultra Humanite. So, we have the Hawkman, and they're all wondering what the heck they are. Apparently, the whole thing of Pandora casket, like some kind of maze. And then Fury punches a wall. Oh yeah, we're in another reality. And then they're attacked by more Sandmen. Of course, they beat them up. And they arrive in Metropolis. And then basically we have Batman, John, and Huntress meeting up with Steel. Well, I should point out though, the face is very similar to the actor who portrays Steel on Legends of Tomorrow. This is Citizen Steel. So they're part of this group known as the Movement. And they wanted to basically free the Earth from this organization called Complete Control, which is run by the Ultra Humanite, who is wearing Lex Luthor's war suit. I'm like, that is so cool. Love seeing it. And of course, it's like a noble town. And of course, Flash gives him a bunch of clothing. Fury's like, what the heck is up with this shirt? With this love thing. It's like so funny. She has a reaction to this. It's almost like, she acts like a lot like her mother, Wonder Woman. Yes, her father is frickin' Steppenwolf, but she more embraces the Amazon side of her instead of the Apocalypse side. Looking at the base operations, and of course they want to free from control. And then we have the actual Wesley Dodds. Yeah. I gotta at least get a hand. This is the actual Wesley Dodds in this suit. Now, I wonder if, and I have this theory about this, is Dan Abnett a fan of the classic JSA, so he decided to give Wesley Dodds back his classic costume? I think he did. Though it's not revealed that this director is the Ultra Humanite until like toward the very end. By the way, Steel punches Huntress because I think it's under control, but nope, not really. Plus, I love it that Val Zod is dressed like Clark Kent. Yeah, just put up her glasses. I thought that was so cool. And have Fury, like, the way she's dressed. It's almost like she's Lois Lane with the same hairstyle and the suit looks exactly the same. Yeah, it's almost like you have Fury and Val Zod being Clark Kent and Lois Lane. So awesome. I love it. And then we have revealed that the Ultra Humanite is in the war suit. Yeah, this I thought was kind of an interesting revelation. Makes kind of some sense. But where the heck did he get the war suit from? Yeah, there's also mention in the last story, I forgot to mention, of Lex Luthor of Earth 2. And apparently Lex Luthor Earth 2 is dead. At some point, anyways. I mean, I know Joker's dead, but apparently Lex Luthor's dead too. Like, okay. Yeah, he's mentioned offhand comment by Wesley Dodds. And then you have Val's acting like a traditional Superman. He says, "People of Metropolis, there's no need to panic. We need you no harm. My name is..." And he gets hit by Wesley Dodds. Well, one of the Sandmen. And then he's beating of course, more fighting with the Sandmen. And of course, they try to act like regular heroes. And then you have Lois basically embracing the whole Red Tornado thing. Yeah, no more clothing for Lois. Yeah, despite the fact this started this series. By the way, here's a question though. Where the heck is Judo Master? Yeah, she's nowhere in these issues. No, don't know where she is. So yeah, this is when he gives him his code name of Boy Wonder, which later becomes Robin. Which a lot of smashing cars. And then revealing at the end of, I think this issue 20, in the third and last issue of the series, that the Ultrahumanite has got Alan Scott, the Green Lantern. Yep, got him. By the way, the next issue wraps up this story arc. Yep. So they all go take on, it's like, people of Metropolis, people of Earth, my name is Fury, I am a wonder. They have no idea what she's talking about. And then you have Alan, who is brainwashed by Ultrahumanite, wearing the Warhammer suit. Which, I still question, where the heck did he get this damn thing? Wasn't the Pandora casket for him to put on this damn thing? Yes, that is Lex Luthor's war suit he's wearing. He's wearing probably because he feels like it. And of course, his headquarters is attacked by Batman, Steel, Boy Wonder, and Huntress. Where they fight him, and of course, Alan Scott, who eventually comes back to his senses. And of course, Ultrahumanite punches John Grayson. Who doesn't... So he's like, "John, damn you, Ultrahumanite." And of course, she gets the crap out by Ultrahumanite. And of course, Dick Grayson basically gets handed. And then Power Girl is nearly shrunk. And then Ultrahumanite nearly crushes Batman, nearly breaks his freaking spine. And then apparently Alan Scott got free. He's like, "Clever. Your dying efforts broke my focus there. Now I can retake control of your lens." And too late. Hello, Ultrahumanite. Where he proceeds to... Looks like he kills him. Yep, looks like he kills him. And then the very next issue, like 22, the final issue, like a new beginning, like, yeah, Power Girl working with Commander Steel, and then her pulling out a classic, like pull out something her famous cousin did, like, "Oh look, a green car," and she gets smashed into it. Yes, a green car. May not be the same green car from Action Comics 1, but that's a good homage to that. And I like regular heroes, which is so nice. And you have Val Zod talking to a guy from trying to commit suicide, which that is also a nod. That is a nod to All-Star Superman right there, which I thought was so cool. And of course, they talk about when they first arrived there, and of course, the refocusing with the whole thing with New World. Lois is basically in charge of Daily Planet, and apparently people have no problem with her look like a freaking robot. Yeah, and everybody's like everything's all hunky-dory. And we have Batman, who, by the way, this Batman is actually Helena. Yeah, taking up her father's identity as Batman. And of course, John has become officially Robin. Yep, he officially becomes Robin in this last issue, which basically is almost like Dick Grayson. I get kind of the reason why that he first is Aunt Helena, because Dick Grayson and Helena Wayne in the original Earth 2 continuity were raised as brother and sister. So of course he'll call Aunt Helena. And she has no problem with that at all. Not really, no. And of course then we have Meeting of the Wonders. Like everybody's got around the table. Talk about absent friends. And in this final image we see all the Wonders here. We see Power Girl, Hawk Girl, Batman, who is basically Helen away in the comics. I'm just surprised. I don't know why they call her Batman. They call her Batwoman. Robin, Steel, Green Lantern, Fury, Red Tornado, and Flash. And of course, Dick Grayson has now become Oracle, who is basically in a wheelchair. Now, here are your people who are absent in this final issue. Green Arrow's dead. Ted Grant is nowhere to be seen. Mr. Terrific was pretty much dropped from the series for no explained reason at all. And they basically all decide what to do next, and the issue ends basically with seeing the outside of the Earth, with basically the original Earth created by Telos back in Convergence is now official Earth now. Yes, it's official home to the Earth 2 residents, and it's basically because the Pandora casket changed everything. It's no longer, it's not really implied if it's empty shell anymore. I think the Pandora casket pretty much changed the whole landscape of everything. Though I gotta admit, these issues were really, really good. It almost seems as though Dan Abnett himself is a fan of the classic stuff when it comes to JSA, and I do appreciate him throwing in the classic stuff. Like Wesley Dodds in his classic costume, Ultra Humanite, bringing him in, and then later on put him in the Warhammer suit, which that was something created by Neil Adams. Yes, Neil Adams created the classic Warhammer suit that Lex Luthor was overusing. And of course, having the group basically be like the JSA of old, which I thought was so cool. Having Dick Grayson become Oracle, that kind of made some sense. Probably because his late wife was in fact Barbara Gordon, and they were headquartered in Chicago. I know what happened to Jim Gordon in the original Earth 2 continuity. There's no mention of it at all. Plus, I love it when they brought up Lex Luthor. Like, they brought him up, and it's implied he's gone, but that was making the fact that there hardly any suit villains anymore because, well, the previous Earth was destroyed. But I gotta admit, Earth 2 Society was a fantastic series. Like, well, other than Abnett was really good. Daniel Wilson, it was okay. One big problem I had with it, and a lot of people would basically point this as the biggest problem with Daniel Wilson's run, the frequent flashbacks to Planetfall. Like, you could do this all in one issue. And then what the trade could have done was fix this. This was a big problem. This is one of two series that did it at this point. The other series was Aquaman by Colin Bunn, who had basically a flash forward at the end of every issue. Like, had this flash forward stuff as kind of like the main story, and the kind of basically like jumbled mess. This is one thing a lot of people didn't like about Aquaman. And my guess is when Daniel took over both this book and Aquaman, he's like, I'm putting a stop to, I'm doing basically regular story stuff. And overall, his run was fantastic. No bad issues bunch. And in my opinion, he practically saved this series and gave it a great conclusion. I mean, I don't know what Daniel Wilson's plans were. Also, be accountable. Like, at the end of the first arc, he's basically in the Earth's core. For some reason, Daniel Wilson decided to turn Jimmy Olsen heel. For, like, no reason. Yeah. But that's all I gotta say about Earth 2 Society. Well, issues 17 to 22. And, of course, the Wolverine issues, which I've already discussed. Okay, so that's the episode review. Stay tuned for my review for Shaman King and possibly their comment corner, okay? Next video. Bye.